I always believed that the people who brought me into this world would be the last to abandon me. I believed blood was thicker than water, that no matter how hard life shook us, we would always find a way back to each other. But beliefs crumble the moment reality decides to slap you with a truth you never prepared for. Mine arrived at 7:48 p.m., in the form of a simple cold message that shattered everything I thought I knew about love and family. Before I even opened it, something inside me clenched. An instinct, a warning, a whisper telling me that everything was about to change. And it did. The message read, "We want distance from you. Don't reach out to us anymore." In that moment, the air left my lungs. I remember staring at the screen like the words might rearrange themselves into something less cruel, something less final. But they didn't. They stayed there, sharp and heavy like a blade pressed against my chest. Before I continue, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Your support helps me keep sharing these powerful, emotional stories with you. I must have read the message 100 times within the next minute. My heart pounded so loudly that it drowned out my own thoughts. For a moment I wondered if this was some kind of prank. My mother hated texting. My father was always gentle, even when correcting me. My siblings teased me, argued with me, annoyed me, but they never shut me out. So why this message? Why no? I called immediately. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped my phone. One ring. Two. Voicemail. I tried my mother next. Straight to voicemail. Then my father. No answer. Then both my sisters. Nothing. My brother. Still nothing. It felt like falling through a tunnel with no walls to grab onto. No one was answering me. No one was saying anything. They had sent one cold sentence and vanished like smoke. My eyes blurred as I typed message after message. What's going on? Did I do something wrong? Please talk to me. Please don't do this. All left on read. Not answered. Not even acknowledged. Just seen. That hurt more than the text itself. I sat on the edge of my bed, knees pulled to my chest, fighting the growing panic suffocating me. My mind raced through the past weeks, searching for clues, for mistakes, for anything that might justify this kind of cruelty. But there was nothing. Absolutely nothing. We had dinner together just a week ago. We laughed. We talked. My dad hugged me before I left. My mom packed me extra snacks like she always did. My siblings argued over who would drive me home like always. There was no tension. No argument. No warning. So why were they suddenly acting like I wasn't part of them anymore? The silence was too loud, too heavy. I couldn't sit still. My mind kept whispering that this wasn't normal, that this wasn't them. But I also couldn't escape the other voice, the darker one, that kept repeating. Maybe they're finally tired of you. Maybe they've been pretending this whole time. Maybe you really are the problem. It didn't help that my chest felt tight, like someone was squeezing my ribs from the inside. My breathing became shallow. My thoughts spiraled out of control. What did I do? What did I say? Who did I hurt? Why didn't they tell me? Why did they choose silence over conversation? Why did they choose distance over me? I stood up and paced the room, trying to calm myself. I splashed water on my face, but my reflection stared back at me with swollen eyes, trembling lips, and a fear I hadn't felt since I was a child. A fear of being truly, completely alone. Hours passed. I kept checking my phone even though no new messages came. It felt like waiting for someone to save me from drowning, only to realize no one was coming. At midnight I told myself I was done begging for answers. But at 12:03 I called them again. And again. And again. Every unanswered call hollowed me out a little more. Finally I collapsed on the floor, drained, defeated, broken. I cried until my body felt empty, until there was no strength left to even hold my phone. My head ached. My chest burned. My voice was gone. And yet, my heart kept gripping onto hope, refusing to accept that the people I loved most had just thrown me away like I meant nothing. But even through the heartbreak, something inside me whispered, quietly at first, then louder, that something about all of this felt wrong. The message was too formal. Too distant. Too unlike them. My parents didn't talk like that. My siblings didn't text like that. Even their silence didn't feel like their silence. It felt forced. Artificial. Wrong. And the more I thought about it, the more the dread in my stomach transformed into suspicion. The message wasn't just cold, it was unnatural. And as much as the pain tore through me, a part of me knew, deep down, that this wasn't just rejection. It was a signal. A warning. A clue. Something had happened. Something none of them were saying. Something they didn't want me to know, or didn't want me near. And no matter how much it hurt, one thing became clear. This message wasn't the end of anything. It was the beginning of a mystery I never asked for but couldn't ignore. Finding my family was nothing like the dramatic reunion scenes in movies. No running into open arms, no perfect music swelling in the background. It was raw, messy, and painfully real. My uncle finally gave me the location, out of guilt, fear, or both. A small, hidden rental house 2 towns over. A place they chose because it was quiet. Forgettable. Safe. The moment I arrived, I froze at the door. My hand hovered over the wood, trembling. What if they didn't want to see me? What if they regretted me finding them? What if they thought pushing me away was still the safer option? But I knocked anyway. The door opened and there she was, my mother. Hair messy, eyes red and swollen, shoulders tense like she hadn't slept in days. When she saw me, her breath caught. For a moment we just stared at each other. Then she whispered my name, broken, trembling, and threw her arms around me. I don't even remember crying, but tears streamed down my face as we held onto each other like we were both afraid the other might disappear. My father came next, pulling me into his arms with shaky relief. Then my siblings, a chain of hugs, apologies, and sobs. Everyone talking at once, everyone begging for forgiveness, everyone telling me how much they missed me. But underneath all of that joy and relief, there was guilt. Heavy, thick, palpable. My father sank onto the couch, rubbing his temple. We should have told you. We should have warned you. We should have taken you with us. Then why didn't you? I asked softly, not accusing but needing to hear the truth from their lips. My mother swallowed hard. Because your uncle, he convinced us you were safer if you stayed behind. He told us that those men were watching the house. That taking you would draw attention. That we had no time, no choice. My chest tightened. So you believed him? My father nodded, shame clouding his face. We did. We shouldn't have. We were scared. And fear makes people stupid. My siblings looked down, guilt written all over them. My youngest sister whispered, we wanted to call you. Every day. But he took all our phones. He told us not to contact you because it would put you in danger. We thought we were protecting you. My heart softened, not because the pain vanished but because I finally understood. They weren't cruel. They weren't abandoning me. They were terrified. And fear makes the strongest families break in strange ways. I sat in the middle of all of them and took a deep breath. I forgive you. But we can't ever do this again. No more secrets. No more running without each other. If we face something, we face it together. Relief washed over their faces like a tide. My mother nodded fiercely. Never again. My father squeezed my hand. We'll rebuild this family. Piece by piece. And we did. The next few weeks felt like emerging from a long, suffocating tunnel. For the first time in months, I saw sunlight again. Not just with my eyes but with my heart. I moved into a small apartment of my own. Not because I wanted to escape my family but because I finally understood something. Survival wasn't the same as living. And I needed a fresh start on my own terms. I got a new job. One that paid well, one that challenged me, one that made me feel capable and independent again. With every paycheck, every morning routine, every late-night journal entry, I felt myself growing into someone stronger. Someone I wished I had been long before everything fell apart. Confidence didn't come instantly but piece by piece I rebuilt myself. I started therapy. I learned boundaries. I cut ties with people who drained me. I began taking care of myself in ways I never believed I deserved. And slowly, beautifully, I stopped feeling like a broken version of who I used to be. I became someone new. Someone whole. Someone powerful. The day my uncle came back, I didn't feel fear. I didn't feel confusion. I didn't even feel anger anymore. He approached me outside my apartment building, looking smaller than I remembered. His clothes wrinkled. His face worn. His eyes carrying the weight of the damage he caused. Niece, he started, voice trembling. I'm so sorry. I never meant for any of this. I was desperate. I was scared. I held up a hand, stopping him. I'm not here to fight, I said calmly. And I'm not here to hate you either. But I'm also not here to heal you. Not after what you've done. He blinked rapidly, trying to hold himself together. Can you ever forgive me? I looked at him, really looked, and felt nothing. No fire. No rage. Just a quiet, steady strength. Forgiveness isn't the issue, I said softly. Trust is. And you lost that long before any of this happened. His face crumpled. I stepped past him, each step lighter than the last. You don't get to be part of this new chapter of my life, I said gently. I'm writing it without you. And I walked away. For the first time in a long time I felt free. My past no longer owned me. My pain no longer defined me. I was finally living. Finally healing. Finally becoming myself again. If you're watching this and you've ever felt abandoned, isolated, betrayed, or lost, just know this. What breaks you does not have to define you. And sometimes losing people is how you find yourself. Before you go, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more stories just like this. Your support truly helps me continue creating powerful content for you. I didn't realize I was crying until a drop hit the corner of my laptop screen. My hands trembled so violently I could barely close the files. Betrayal has a particular taste. Metallic, bitter, sharp enough to cut you from the inside. I could feel it on my tongue as I stared at my uncle's messages, his voice notes, his lies woven neatly into my family's panic. He isolated me. He separated them from me. He twisted the truth until I was the outsider. All to protect himself. And now my family was gone, vanished like shadows slipping into the night. And the last person seen with them was the man I once trusted the most. I wiped my face with the back of my hand and took a long, shaky breath. If he truly did this, if he lied, manipulated, and stole from us, then he knew where my family was. Maybe he even knew what happened to them. And if anyone was going to get answers from him, it would be me. I grabbed my jacket, shoved my laptop into my bag, and drove off before fear had a chance to stop me. My uncle lived 20 minutes away, but the drive felt like a lifetime. Every streetlight flickered like a warning. Every passing car felt like a threat. My hands were cold on the steering wheel, but inside a fire burned, slow, intense, unforgiving. When I reached his house, the front lights were off, but his car sat in the driveway. He was home. Good. I walked to the door with purpose. My heartbeat thundered in my ears, but I kept moving, kept breathing, kept preparing. Because this time, I wasn't the scared girl staring at a message she didn't understand. This time I knew what had been taken from me. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again, harder. Open the door. We need to talk. A long pause. Then footsteps. Slow, hesitant, too careful. The door cracked open and there he was, my uncle. His face looked tired, older than the last time I saw him. But his eyes, they were the same. Calculating. And suddenly I saw the truth in them, truth I'd never noticed before. He wasn't surprised to see me. He was scared that I had come. Niece, he said, voice shaky. What are you doing here? You know why, I replied coldly. Where is my family? His face twitched. I don't lie. My voice cut sharper than I expected. I found the files. The emails. The recordings. His eyes widened just enough to confirm it. I stepped closer. You stole from them. You dragged them into illegal deals. And then you cut me off so I wouldn't find out. He swallowed hard. You don't understand. No, I snapped. You don't get to say that. You don't get to pretend you're the victim. He looked at me for a long moment and something in him cracked. His shoulders slumped and he let out a trembling sigh. Fine, he whispered. You want the truth? You'll get it. He opened the door wider, letting me in. I hesitated for a second but then stepped inside. The house felt wrong. Papers scattered. Bags half-packed. A suitcase open near the couch. Like he was preparing to leave. Like he was running. He motioned toward the living room. Sit. I'll stand, I replied. He nodded, defeated. Then he began. I never meant for any of this to happen, he said, rubbing his hands over his face. I was in debt. Big debt. The kind you don't get to walk away from. Your father wanted to help me. He trusted me. He believed in me. So he invested in one of the deals I made. My stomach twisted. But the deal wasn't real, he continued. The men I was dealing with were criminals. Dangerous ones. When the deal fell apart, they demanded the money back. Money I didn't have. So you dragged my father down with you, I said through clenched teeth. He looked away. I thought I could fix it before he found out. But they kept pushing. Threatening. They said if your father didn't return the money, they'd go after all of you. My chest tightened. That's when they came to the house, he whispered. 3 nights ago. Cold fear surged through me. What did they do? They didn't hurt anyone, he said quickly. But they made it clear what would happen if your father didn't cooperate. I took a shaky breath. So my family left? Yes, he said. Your parents packed quickly. They wanted to run. To keep you out of it. I stared at him. Then why didn't they take me? He hesitated. I told them not to. I froze. He looked at me, guilt twisting his expression. I told them you'd be safer staying behind. That they needed to disappear quietly. That if you were with them it would raise suspicion. You lied, I whispered. He nodded slowly. Yes. You manipulated them. Yes. You sent the message. His silence was the answer. And you stole the documents meant for me. My voice shook with a mixture of anger and heartbreak. The inheritance. The savings. The money Grandpa left for my future. He didn't deny it. My vision blurred as tears gathered. Why? Why would you do that to me? He exhaled shakily. Because I knew if you found out where your parents were going, you'd follow them. And if you followed them, those men would follow you. I couldn't risk that. My voice cracked. You didn't do this to protect me. You did this to protect yourself. He didn't argue. Something inside me, something soft, naive, trusting, died in that moment. My uncle, the man who used to fix my toys, who brought me gifts on my birthday, who laughed with me at every family reunion, was the one who tore my world apart. But for the first time since everything began, I didn't feel weak. I didn't feel abandoned. I didn't feel lost. I felt awake. You're going to tell me where my family is, I said quietly, steadying my voice. Or I will go to the police, the press, whoever it takes. He flinched. If you do that, they'll find out your family is gone. And then let them come, I said. Bez, I'm done being afraid. And I'm done letting you control anything. He looked at me, really looked, maybe for the first time. And for the first time he seemed afraid of me. Because I wasn't the girl he manipulated anymore. I wasn't the niece who trusted him blindly. I wasn't the victim of his lies. I was someone awakening. Someone rising. Someone ready to uncover the rest of the truth. And I wasn't stopping until I brought my family back. I drove home gripping my father's shattered recorder so tightly my fingers went numb. The drive felt unreal, like I was drifting through fog, like the world was moving but I was stuck in slow motion. My family's silence echoed louder in my ears than any words ever could. By the time I reached my house, I already knew I wasn't going to sleep. Not until I found something, anything, that could explain why they vanished, why their house felt frozen in time, why the message telling me to stay away never felt like it came from them. I went straight to my room and dumped the broken recorder on my desk. The sight of it made my chest tighten. My father never let that thing out of his sight. For it to be smashed, something terrible must have happened. After staring at it for too long, I finally forced myself to sit down and open my laptop. If I couldn't reach them physically, maybe I could find answers in the one place people always forget to clean up after themselves. The digital world. I logged into our shared family cloud drive. It was something we used when my dad wanted us to keep track of family documents, bills, receipts, newsletters, little things that seemed meaningless at the time. But now, every file felt like it might be a clue. Most folders were normal. School documents, old pictures, grocery lists. But one folder caught my eye. A folder I had never seen before. Titled simply, Pending. It was password protected. My heart skipped. My father only locked things when he didn't want anyone outside the family to see them. And yet, I had never heard of this folder. I tried a few obvious passwords. Nothing worked. Then I remembered something. My parents always used the same code for important things. The anniversary date of their first home. I typed it in. The folder opened instantly. Inside were dozens of files. Scanned documents, audio notes, screenshots of emails, and PDFs with legal stamps. The deeper I went, the colder I felt. The emails were the first punch to the gut. They were full of warnings. Threats. Demands. One email read, "If he doesn't return the money, we'll come for the family next." Another, "This is your final warning. You have 72 hours to respond." My hands shook as I scrolled. My father had replied only once. Please. My family has nothing to do with this. Leave them out of it. My breath hitched. What money? What deals? I whispered to myself. I clicked on another document. It was a scanned contract, unofficial, handwritten, and not legally binding. My father's signature was there. So was someone else's. A name that made my stomach twist. My uncle. My mother's younger brother. A man I trusted like a second father. The contract was for a business deal, one that involved a large amount of money. But something was wrong. The numbers didn't add up. The terms made no sense. It was the kind of deal only someone desperate or manipulated would agree to. And then I saw it, the transfer receipt. My father transferred money. My uncle received it. And the deal failed. Meaning whoever was part of this wanted the money back. Suddenly everything started falling into place. My family wasn't fighting with me. They weren't cutting me off. They were hiding. Running. Protecting me. A cold shiver ran down my spine. I kept digging. The next file was a voice note. I pressed play. My father's voice came through, shaky and rushed. If you're hearing this, it means things have gone wrong. We were supposed to leave town quietly. They threatened your uncle. And now they're threatening us. The message we sent, please don't take it personally, we just needed you safe. We didn't want you involved in any of this. I paused the recording, heart in my throat. They were protecting me. Keeping me away so I wouldn't be dragged into whatever mess this was. Tears blurred my vision. But then another thought hit me. If they wanted me safe, then why wasn't I with them? Why didn't they warn me directly? Why didn't they take me when they left? Plus, someone prevented them. I opened the last file, a set of screenshots between my uncle and someone else. They were arguing. Leave her out of this. She deserves to know. No, she needs to stay away. If she finds out, she'll become a target too. Then isolate her. My eyes widened. Isolate her. They were talking about me. My pulse slammed in my ears. My uncle had told them not to let me know anything. He convinced them that the only way to protect me was to cut me out completely. No calls. No contact. No clues. The message wasn't from anger. It was from fear. From manipulation. From someone who thought they were doing the right thing. But then, why did it feel wrong? Why did the house feel abandoned? Why did the recorder end up smashed? And then it hit me like ice water poured down my back. My uncle. He wasn't just trying to protect me. He was trying to protect himself. Because the more I read, the clearer it became. My uncle wasn't just involved in the illegal deals. He caused them. He started them. He dragged my father into them. And when everything went wrong, he let my family take the blame. He didn't isolate me to protect me. He isolated me so I wouldn't find out. Because if I discovered the truth, I might expose him. My hands trembled violently as the realization settled in. The person I trusted the most was the person who betrayed us all. And worse, he was the last one seen with my family before they disappeared. The silence around me thickened, heavy with a new kind of fear. Not confusion. Not grief. Something darker. Now I knew why the message felt wrong. Why the house felt abandoned. Why their cars were still there. My family didn't cut me off. Someone cut all of us off. No. I was the only one left who could uncover what really happened. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, the message replayed in the darkness like a haunting echo. We want distance. Don't reach out to us anymore. I woke up, or rather gave up on sleep, feeling like I had swallowed a block of ice. My house felt too quiet, too hollow, like the silence itself was whispering that something was wrong. And I couldn't take it anymore. I needed answers, even if those answers hurt. So I grabbed my keys, threw on a jacket, and drove to my family's house. It was early morning, the kind of morning when the sun is just rising but everything still looks dreary and washed out. My hands trembled on the steering wheel the entire way there. My chest felt tight with every mile. When I turned into the street, my heart skipped. Their house stood at the end of the road, familiar and warm in my memories, yet now something about it felt off. Wrong. Abandoned. I parked quietly and got out, listening. Nothing. No voices. No movement. It was like the whole place had been drained of life. I walked slowly toward the front door. The first thing I noticed was the silence. It wasn't the normal morning kind of quiet. It was heavy. Unsettling. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring because you're waiting for something to break it. Then I noticed the house itself. Lights off. Curtains drawn. No shadows moving inside. My parents are early risers. By now, my mom would normally be in the kitchen making breakfast. My dad would be sitting on the couch reading something on his tablet. But today, nothing. Just a stillness that felt wrong. Their 2 cars were parked in the driveway exactly where they always were. My mom's small car on the right. My dad's old SUV on the left. That made no sense. If they left the house, they would have taken at least one. My sibling's car was also there, parked crookedly like it had been rushed in. At first, I tried to convince myself they were all asleep. Maybe they had a long night. Maybe their phones were off. Maybe they were ignoring me deliberately. But deep down, I knew none of those explanations fit. I rang the doorbell. Once. Twice. 3 times. Nothing. I knocked. Louder. Harder. Still nothing. My heart started pounding again, that same sickening rhythm from the night before. I pressed my ear against the door. No footsteps. No voices. Not even the hum of the TV. Just silence. I moved around to the side of the house, hoping to peek through the kitchen window, but the curtains were shut tightly. I checked the living room window. Same thing. Every curtain drawn. Every blind closed. As if someone didn't want anyone to see inside. But the house didn't look robbed. Nothing broken. Nothing disturbed. It was just silent. On my way back to the front porch, I noticed the neighbors' lights were on. So I swallowed my pride, walked over and knocked. An elderly woman answered. It was Mrs. Porter, who lived next door. "Oh, it's you," she said softly, as if she wasn't sure she should speak. "Have you seen my family?" I asked, trying not to sound as desperate as I felt. Her eyes softened with worry. "So. Not for a few days now." A chill ran through me. "A few days." She nodded slowly. "I noticed their lights have been off day and night. And no one's come or gone. Assumed they traveled. They didn't say anything to you." I shook my head, throat tight. "No. Nothing." She hesitated, as if deciding whether to tell me something else. Then she whispered, "The last time I heard anything from the house was 3 nights ago. There were voices. They sounded upset. After that, silence." My pulse spiked. "Upset how?" She looked uncomfortable. "It sounded scared." The word lodged in my chest like a stone. I thanked her and walked back to the porch, my legs suddenly feeling heavy. I stood there staring at the front door, wishing it would magically open. Wishing someone, anyone, would tell me what was going on. That's when I saw it. A small, shattered piece of metal lying on the porch steps. At first I thought it was just random junk. But when I picked it up, my blood froze. It was my father's device. The small digital recorder he carried everywhere. He used it for work, for notes, even for reminders at home. He never went anywhere without it. My father was extremely careful with that thing. I had never seen it scratched, let alone smashed. But now it was cracked in half. Smashed against the concrete like someone had thrown it, or stomped on it. I stared at it, heart racing. Why was this here? Why was it broken? Why was it outside instead of inside the house where he always kept it? The message they sent me suddenly replayed in my mind, but this time it felt different. "We want distance from you. Don't reach out to us anymore." The words no longer sounded like rejection. They sounded like a warning. A desperate warning. Or worse. A message sent by someone who wasn't them. I gripped the broken device so tightly it cut into my palm. I didn't even feel the pain. All I felt was dread wrapping around me like cold vines. I walked around the house again, trying every door and window. All locked. Curtains still closed. No sign of life. But the smashed recorder said everything. Something had happened here. Something my family didn't want me to see. Or something someone didn't want me to find. Either way, one thing became violently clear. The message wasn't sent out of anger. It was sent out of fear. Or worse. It wasn't them who sent it at all. And for the first time since everything began, I realized I wasn't dealing with rejection. I was dealing with a disappearance.